welcome back to our Bond extravaganza, the Pt.3 something like that. In this final edition, hopefully all in one video, we will take a look at the final volume of the 20 movie collection set from '03, as well as the Daniel Craig films bought separately, of course, because sets were in 2003. So, let's get right into it. The outside of this box is silver, and it has Roger Moore on it. The bottom's kind of torn up. Like I said last time, these are nice box sets, but they don't age too well. So I do recommend them, but they're just not, I don't know. And here's the movies included. And the original movies included in this set were, let's see, Die Another Day, Live and Let Die, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Thunderball, Octopussy, and A View to a Kill. Because of course this is the 6 movie set as opposed to the 2 7-movie ones. And those were the ones that were in here originally, but now they play home to the Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. And like I said, Roger Moore made too many. I feel that both Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan didn't make enough. I feel like Moore should have left earlier and Dalton should have taken over earlier, and that would have allowed Brosnan time maybe to do another one. So, let's get right to it. First with the Living Daylights, and I'm very conflicted over the two Dalton movies, over which one I like better. I always used to say Living Daylights, but now I'm thinking it's probably License to Kill. Just because it was the first time that sort of thing was done in a James Bond movie. And we'll get to it in a minute. And I feel Timothy Dalton is a very underrated Bond. I think he is great. I think he is better than Roger Moore and Lazenby combined, but that's not saying much, is it? No. Not to say that Dalton is not much. You know. He's great. I like him. I wish he'd made more. And, of course, Benjamin Svetky, as we went over before, feels the way about Dalton that I feel about Lazenby. I mean, that guy's such a jackass. You know what he complained about this movie? His biggest complaint, literally, was that James Bond didn't bang enough girls. And really, in rating a James Bond movie, that's the biggest thing you're worried about, is how many girls he gets into bed with. You're complaining because he only does it with one girl in the whole movie. Wow. He's like, oh, this new age unfortunately brought a more AIDS-aware Bond. It's more of a one-woman kind of guy. Well, if you paid attention to Timothy Dalton's other Bond movie, you would see that isn't true. And even if it was, it's like, it's not a big deal. It's not, like, it's not a defining factor, is how many girls he bangs. Of course, you have to have Bond girls, and you have to have your love scenes, but, you know, it's not what I rate Bond movies on. So, oh my god. Stop barking! Yeah, let's get the last word in. This is, sorry about the dog. I'll see what I can do. I'm running out of tape anyway. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, so, you know, forget it. Point is, I don't like Svetsky's viewpoints. Alright, moving right along. License to Kill. This was the first time this concept had really been done, of James Bond going rogue on a revenge mission and everything. And I really like that about it, and it's much... It was actually the first James Bond movie to ever be rated Pt.3. Takes a much darker, more serious tone, very gritty, and I really like that about it. However, it is also at the same time probably the second most violent James Bond movie. So there you go with the disc. Booklet. Of course, this has this has a useless cameo role, pointless cameo role by Wayne Knight. Did I say Wayne Knight? Wayne Newton. Sorry. Sorry if the lighting's gotten a bit darker here. And again, one of the greatest Bond villains, in my opinion. Probably second next to Christopher Walken. Sanchez. And I think some great Bond girls, actually. I really love this movie. Can't stand them Timothy Dalton haters. And then came the biggest leave of absence James Bond has ever made. The biggest gap between any two James Bond movies. Between License to Kill and GoldenEye. GoldenEye was not just another Bond movie. It was really a reinventing of the franchise. Sorry, hold on. But it really brought a new edge to Bond. A new style. And I really like what it did. I really dig this movie. Very stylized. Very good. This is actually the cover, my copy of the box. It's a misprint. It says on the rating, it says PG, when it in fact is PG-13. Just a random little observation. There you go, GoldenEye. And a lot of people don't like Brosnan. And you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to go into, I'm exhausting myself going over all these Bond debates. There's so many of them, I just can't touch on all of them. I like him. That's all I have to say. He's actually my second favorite next to Connery. And I find his performance in GoldenEye to be the best of his 4 performances. It's very gritty, very real. And Brosnan, just the same as Connery, had that same issue where he started to go gray early, and he aged pretty quickly, physically, or facially, even though he was still like only in his 40s. And I do think if the people over at Bond movie making headquarters had been more on the ball, Brosnan would have had time to make one more movie. And then we come to Tomorrow Never Dies, and I really like Tomorrow Never Dies. And the cool thing about this one is, as you can see with all the other ones, they stay with the same color scheme. Whatever color the box is, that's the color of the booklet and of the disc. But with this one, they did the anniversary booklet, and that's because basically it was just repackaging, I guess. The original DVD release of Tomorrow Never Dies was let's see, what anniversary of Bond? It was like it was the anniversary of some number. I forget. And so when they did this box set, they basically just decided to take the anniversary stuff and put it in here. So that's why the disc does match in the gun barrel style, except it's silver instead of red like the box. But the booklet does not match. It's its own style. It's the anniversary one. See, it's got a special edition on there, and I really like the look of this. And it's got all sorts of different stuff compared to the other booklets. It's got a whole readout of the history of Bond, and it's got photos going through the whole history of Bond. And each photo has a little number on it, and in the back of the booklet it names what each photo is, or who's in it, or whatever. And basically it's just walking you through the history of the James Bond franchise and things of that nature. So it's very nice. A very good booklet. Get some photos of the Bond girls there. And then, there you go, Tomorrow Never Dies. I'm going to speed this up. Alright, now we come to World Is Not Enough, which, according to Benjamin Svetke of Entertainment Weekly, is the worst James Bond movie. And I completely disagree and put it, not in the top 10. But I really like it. A lot of people don't like this movie. I really like it. Not as much as his first two, but I think it's a lot better than his last one. And I don't know. I really like the premise, and the villain I think is great. It's a real throwback to the old style Bond villains. The guy's, you know, he's got the bullet slowly moving through his head, and he can't feel pain, and it's so sinister. And the guy who plays him does a great job. You know, it's great old-fashioned style Bond movie with cliched bad guy with a world domination sort of plot. You know, and outrageous but terrific action sequences. And it was right around the second Brosnan movie, actually, when the gadgets started getting really ridiculous. I mean, they were always ridiculous gadgets in the Bond franchise, but with Brosnan, they sort of decided to take it above and beyond for some reason or another. Show you back? Okay. And now we come to Brosnan's last movie, and the last of the films named classic Bond films. There are 20 proper classic Bond films, and then 21 was the real reboot. I said GoldenEye was in a way sort of reboot, but not really. 21 with Casino Royale, they just rebooted the whole franchise, took it way back to the beginning. Or not the same beginning, not remakes, but just, you get the idea.